Hi there, this is Solitary Ronin from Solitary Ronin Films, and welcome to our random review. Today's random review comes from 1959, and it's the Russian film Letter Never Sent, directed by Mikhail Kalatozov, who also did The Cranes Are Flying, which I haven't watched yet. This is the Criterion, spine number 601. It has no extras, but it does have a booklet with a very good essay. But to be honest, it's one of those films that you don't really need extras. Just having the film is good enough. That's a Region A Criterion Blu-ray. Now obviously, as film fans, you watch films that are fun, you watch films that are very good, you watch films that are excellent, and then you watch films like this that are absolute stunners. Now maybe if you're a casual film fan, you might not think Letter Never Sent is a stunner. It's a story that we've seen quite often, of human beings against nature, human beings fighting the elements to get back home, to survive. In this case, it's 4 Russian researchers who are out looking for diamonds for the good of the fatherland. I always thought Russia was the motherland, but in this film they refer to the fatherland. Maybe later on it was referred to as the motherland. And everything's lovely. There's a female and 3 males. The female is attached to one of the males, but perhaps another one of the males has a fancy for her, has a little thing for her. They find the diamonds and everything is fantastic. But then nature, as it tends to do, pokes them in the eye with a metaphorical finger, and the rest of the film is about them trying to get home. So it's a story we've all seen before. So what makes Letter Never Sent an absolute masterwork of cinema? Again, I don't like to call films masterpieces on one viewing, but I do think if I am no doubt doing another favourite 250 films at some point in the future, maybe next year or so, Letter Never Sent might be in it. It's one of those films that's good to talk about in the sense that you don't need to go into the plot and there's no twists and there's no turns. It's a simple story. But when people say, "Oh yeah, this film is one of the most beautiful films of all time," obviously I do. My contrarian side does tend to come out a little bit. But Letter Never Sent is jaw-droppingly good. The black and white cinematography is absolutely stunning. The shot composition is a tour de force. There's the close-ups. I mean, it's not Sergio Leone extreme close-ups, but it's close-ups that are just immaculate. Sometimes have all 4 characters or 3 characters or 2 characters in the frame, surrounded by sky and the earth, and the use of rain and fire and wind and snow. It's right up there with Kurosawa as far as elements and nature. In actual fact, it Speaking of Kurosawa, Letter Never Sent does make a wonderful triple bill with Dersu Uzala, Kurosawa from 1975, and Ivan's Childhood from Tarkovsky. I find it hard to believe that Tarkovsky had never seen Letter Never Sent. I actually checked to see whether it's the same cinematographer, which it's not. But both Ivan's Childhood and Letter Never Sent, the role of water and the elements is just stunning. It's a film that was probably really difficult to shoot, and as difficult to shoot perhaps as the character's journey, and maybe not obviously quite as hard as the character's journey. But every frame, I mean, it's one of those films that you can literally take a clicker and click how many amazing shots there are. I've often talked about Kurosawa films that you could pause anywhere, print it off and put it in an art gallery. Same with some of Kubrick's, Orson Welles, Sergio Leone. But I mean, you literally could take frame after frame of Letter Never Sent and stick it in an art gallery. The fire in this film is just mesmerising. One of the downsides to CG is just fire looks so fake. For some reason, CG just can't do fire properly. And obviously this is 1959, 1960, so that ain't computer generated fire in the film. And again, the cinematography that captures it is just stunning. It's one of those films very much like Bondarchuk's War and Peace, that if there was a 4K, people's eyes would probably pop out of their heads, because the Blu-ray is just absolutely stunning. Again, you could say, oh well, there's no extras on the Criterion, and that's terrible. But to have the film on Blu-ray, I mean, it's one of those examples that you're not that bothered about not having extras, because the film itself is just so amazing. Again, if cinema is the telling of a story through the juxtaposition of images, and it's a visual medium, then Letter Never Sent is one of the greatest pieces of cinema I've ever seen. That might be slightly hyperbolic, but I don't think so. Again, I don't want to, put it on too high of a pedestal, considering I've just watched it once, but I do think it's a film that I will be revisiting. It's 96 minutes long. It does have a kind of hypnotic power. You don't want to tear your eyes away from it, pretty much because you might miss just a stunning use of light and shade, and shadow. Some characters' faces in shadow, some characters bathed in light. It literally is a smorgasbord of cinematography. I know the wonderful Roger Deakins talked about every now and again he would watch Come and See, or every now and again he does watch Klimov's Come and See just to look at the cinematography. But I'm sure Roger Deakins must look at Letter Never Sent and just wallow in the sheer cinematography gorgeosity of this Russian film. Again, I'm fairly late to the party. I'm sure there's plenty of people that have seen Letter Never Sent. But again, it's the beauty of being a film fan. We watch, as I said, there's films that you enjoy, but they're just a bit of fun. And there's other films that are really good, and then there's other films that are just absolutely stunning. And when you haven't watched one of those true, not necessarily game changers, but just true examples of how films should be done, it's just so refreshing, so re-energizing, and so emotional. I mean, there is actually a scene at the end, or near the end of the film, that's actually quite moving, and just, again, beautifully done. So, I mean, that's Letter Never Sent. I mean, as I said, despite the lack of extras on the disc, I would heartily recommend you pick this up immediately, because it is just absolutely wonderful. Again, this is a Region A. I don't know whether it'll ever get a Region B, or if there is a Region B, they probably is somewhere, but this is absolutely stunning, and I will have to pick up The Cranes Are Flying now. And again, for people who don't like black and white films, because they're not this is a black and white film to die for. It is just absolutely gorgeous. And again, as I say, probably deserves to be in an art gallery somewhere. So this is Solitary Ronin from Solitary Ronin Films, saying please let me know what you think of Letter Never Sent, or tell me other Kalatozov films apart from Cranes Are Flying that I should check out, or are actually available, which is sometimes the problem with these filmmakers. And hopefully join me again for more random reviews. I can't guarantee that the films will be quite as fantastic as this one, but they're always of interest. At least I think. You might not, but at least I do. So thanks very much for watching. This is Solitary Ronin, saying farewell.